Hey, Dan, how much have you been able to practice during this break as a team, and what's the status of the injured guys, Jackson, Cook, and Bouknight?
Yeah, I mean, there were some things we were dealing with the first couple days after that, odd situation in the Butler game. To get paused that way was very, very strange. But yeah, so a couple days there was some issues, but then we've had at least since Monday to have kind of regular practices, and it looks like Dre's good to go tomorrow. And of the three injured guys, he's the only guy that we've got for tomorrow. The other guys are out. Cook's out, and James is out.
Tom?
Is there any prognosis on when James or Cook might be available to you again?
Yeah, I think they're progressing. They're getting closer to healthy. Just really not sure when we'll have either guy. They're both in practice limited right now. So,
Jerry Carino?
Dan, greetings from Jersey.
What's up, man? Jared, what's up?
So, what do you think of Sandro's game, and does he remind you of anybody?
He reminds me of, a little bit dated here, but for you guys a little bit older here, Troy Murphy.
Another Jersey guy.
Yeah, another Jersey guy. Notre Dame recruited him really hard to go to Rutgers when I was an assistant there. So, Troy Murphy, just in terms of inside, outside, lefty, tall, super skilled, just an unbelievable offensive skill set. The most skilled and talented offensive player that we've seen this year by far, and that I've seen personally, since I've been here. Just really center size with point guard skills and scores it. He's a nightmare.
Thanks, Dan.
You got it, man.
Dan Barletta?
Hey, Dan, I wanted to ask you about going up against your alma mater. I know you've played them a couple of times when you were at Rhode Island, but to be back in the league that you played in, going up against them, what's that mean to you?
Yeah, you know what? I'd say like this year, just because of COVID and because of just the state of our world and just how brutal everything's been. And you're so day to day with everything that's going on, relative to stops and starts and no crowds. And, I just don't think that this is a time necessarily that, that'll creep into my mind, whatsoever, except I had a conversation with Tom Konchalski and prayers to Mr. Konchalski, who's dealing with some serious health things and a beautiful man, and prayers to him and his family means so much to the basketball world, and especially in the metropolitan area. He mentioned to me today when I talked to him, don't forget as you take the court, everything you learned in your career there and the man it made you, and then especially that you met, that the most important thing that's ever happened to you in your life happened there. You met your beautiful wife, Andrea, that gave you two incredible sons, in Andrew and Danny. So, I think next year when I'm in the Pru, or when I'm in the Prudential Center and I see the Seton Hall, I think that's when it'll click for me. This year, it's just an important game.
Roger, Cleveland?
Dan, was this a different, more productive pause because you were able to practice some? And you've talked a lot about wanting RJ and Isaiah to step up and become leaders. Are they able to do that with the consistency of practice, or was just this more time away from the game?
No, this wasn't good for us. And you see this, this speculation. We would have been much better off having an opportunity to play Villanova after winning the Butler game, and then having a chance to avenge the St. John's home loss that is still bitter for us. So no, we need games, man. Like, those guys too, like players that are out aren't, like they weren't going to be like we didn't gain anything from not playing those games. Like playing those games would have allowed Adama to continue to get better, RJ to find the rhythm, just get guys more comfortable. That's the only way that like we've had enough practices now. We need games.
Neil Ostrom.
Dan, you've played so few games already, and you're probably not going to get to 20 league or numbers that you thought you might get to at the start of the year. Does every game become that much more important? Does that pump guys up more? Or does that add to the pressure they're under?
I mean, my teams and the way that our program, look, when you're a coach at UConn and you're a player at UConn, every game's a pressure cooker. And then for the way that I'm built and the way that, I run this organization, there's, we put a lot of pressure on each other to perform on game night at a high level. So yeah, I don't feel any different.
Dave Borges.
Just your thoughts on Seton Hall in general. Obviously a talented team. Maybe the record doesn't quite show how good they are. Overall, what kind of problems do they present to you tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, they've got three. They've got a potential player of the year, in Mamu, and then they've got the two wings who are all league players, caliber. With really, really good depth and play at point guard, to have like a hard-nosed, tough, tremendous leader that can make some plays, and Reynolds, and then to have the luxury of bringing in a Bryce Aiken, who was like a Ivy, I think, a player of the year or type of level off the bench, to go along with with Samuel and the rim protection that they have with the starting center, and then Molson's toughness and size as a wing off the bench. I mean, 10-8 doesn't tell the story of how difficult the game and how talented a team they are. But they've played a brutal schedule, and they had a brutal COVID to start the season, and then an incredibly ambitious non-conference schedule, playing Louisville on the road, Oregon, somewhere, going to Rhode Island, going to Penn State. I mean, these guys have played a brutal schedule. So, they're a really good team, man. That could, that's as good as anyone in the league, and as an NCAA tournament team, and a team that can win games in the tournament.
John Fanta.
Dan, it's good to see you. I guess the human nature element of this whole situation, like, does it kind of enter your thought process here that at this point on February 5th, the idea, of having any other COVID-related obstacle, like there's no room for that anymore at this point, right? With the timing.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a concern with the staff. I think we think about it, and we think about it more so because out of the 15 players, we've only had, I think, 3 cases. So we have so many, and I think in like potentially 2 of those cases, the 90-day window is slowly approaching us. And we've had only one of our 10 staff members that are in the tier 1 have gotten it. So, our guys have done an incredible job. We've been unlucky with it in a number of ways. And I wait for that text. We'll get a text sometime. We'll get a text message sometime at like 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight about whether they're all negative or whether we got an issue. So we'll hold our breath collectively until around 7 o'clock tonight, and then we'll know whether we got a game tomorrow or not.
Tom?
Dan, Dre's missed obviously a lot of time with this injury, with the knee injury. He hasn't had the opportunities to settle in that you'd like for a freshman. But what are your expectations tomorrow? What might his role be? How much do you think you can get from him tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one to for a freshman that missed anything that went on in the summer and the preseason. With some minor things he had to get cleaned up, and then obviously, just missed 6 weeks, and now we're going to throw him out there against those wings and this team. But he's a real talent, and we've got to play him. I've got to play him and let him play through some things, both for this year, for us to reach our potential. I think when we envision this thing, year 3. Book and a Cook and Dre were all a huge part of the year 3 climb up the mountain, and obviously all 3 of those guys have been out and haven't been a part of it. So we got to get his talent on the court. I got to let him play through some things. It's a fine line though, because you are trying to win against veteran teams that. Having 2 freshmen on the court and him and Adama is a little bit scary against a team that is as veteran as these guys, but I got to play him.
Charlotte?
Hey, Dan, how have you kind of taken advantage of this week of practice then? Obviously, you would be rather playing those games, but utilizing it and trying to make the most of it. And you just mentioned Adama, too, I guess, continuing to prep him for this month of February.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously spent more time together. We've, been able to prepare for, their Seton Hall's pressure. We're able to do a little bit of work earlier over the weekend with Providence too. So getting a little bit ahead with them, but really preparing for Seton Hall, just for some things we want to try to do defensively. Against their big 3 guys there. And then obviously, their matchup zone that they're playing more, the 3-quarter court defense that they're playing more as well.
Mike Mavrodakis?
Hey, Dan, kind of going back to the Andre Jackson situation, what are some things that you've seen, whether it be in practice or his recovery, that kind of made you comfortable with putting him back out there?
Just that he's healthy. He's probably had about 5 days of live practice under his belt here. So, I think hopefully being able to play him in spurts, 3 to 4 minute spurts, and just getting him experience. Because we just, he's a really talented guy, and again, we got to get him comfortable on that court, both for the short term and obviously, moving forward.
Wayne?
Dan, you talked about the matchup zone. What did they do well against Providence? They really locked up Providence, especially from 3-point range.
Yeah, well, they have incredible length. With the wings and the front court right there, you're talking about one of the tallest teams in the country. So zone, matchup zone is a weapon for them. Really tall teams that have great length are obviously better zone type of teams. So, and then obviously, it was a low scoring game in the first half. 2 really physical, tall, athletic teams that really. But in the second half, you saw their, things opened up for them offensively, and they were able to get away.
Gav?
Dan, when you come off a pause, how difficult is it to crank up the intensity the way you need it? And is it any easier now that you've done it to come off other pauses before, or is it the same challenge?
No, it's the same challenge. It's brutal for these players to try to get a rhythm, and to try to get comfortable and try to grow or learn from the last performance when your next performance, is a week to 10 days later. There's a lot of gamesmanship that goes on with coaches. I think coaches have said, wow, this is a great chance. It's a great chance for them, to to get healthier or to improve on some things during the pause. But then when they get a pause, that's the end of the world. So, the pauses aren't good. We would have been much better off playing games. And then as we got healthier, obviously for postseason opportunities, those things would have been taken into consideration. Plus, we've had a chance to win. We've had a chance to win every game we've played this year. Even with James on the sideline, St. John's game, we were up 14 and up 8 or 9 at several different junctures of the second half, and then collapsed the last 4 to 5 minutes. But that was a game we were in total control of without James. And even to Creighton on the road there, we had our opportunities to kind of hang around. And in the last 7 or 8 minutes, we just didn't play well enough. So we just need games, and we obviously can't afford another pause.
Okay, Mike Crispino.
Hey, Dan, Seton Hall's a really good free throw shooting team percentage-wise. They get to the line. How important is it in this one to keep them off the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, that's always important. You don't want to give, free points in transition or off turnovers or second chance or at the free throw line. So we've got to be disciplined. Obviously, Mamu puts a ton of pressure on you because of the unique skill set he has. And he creates so much offense and puts you in so many closeout situations because of his just unique skill set from the 4 or 5. So, yeah, I mean, we can't afford Isaiah to get in foul trouble against him, or a lot of just foul trouble in general.
Okay, time for one more. Dom?
Yeah, Dan, I just had a couple of quick league conference things, but did the Big East give you any explanation as to what happened in the Butler game? I mean, something obviously slipped through the cracks there. I mean, did they give you an explanation as to what happened?
No, I can't. I don't want to comment on that.
Okay. All right. And I know that they want to make up some games on particularly.
It wasn't our fault. What?
No, I know they want to try to make up games for the teams that haven't had the chance to play as many, like, UConn, DePaul. Have they given you any indication, or do you have it? I mean, the schedule's awfully tight. Do you see any of those 3 lost games being made up somehow, or does the schedule just look too tight for you for that to happen?
No, I think there's been some conversation about adding one, trying to add a marquee game back, and we're right now we're talking to the league about that possibility. So it obviously, it would make things incredibly tight for us and would put us in a situation that you would rarely see a college team in. So, but to be honest, for us, I think, selfishly, to get a quad 1 chance would be really nice for us, because we present quad 1 and quad 2s for anyone in our league that we play. So obviously, we aspire to play in the NCAA tournament here. So squeezing in a quad 1 game, I think, would be appealing to us. Just have to balance out player welfare and not run these guys into the ground. But we're talking.
Okay. One more, John. That's it. John Fanta.
Dan, I guess I'll follow in Dom's footsteps and ask the question that I think is kind of the elephant in the room, or the intriguing question. It's about the players, but this conference has some history to coaches kind of, going back and forth, and it's in good fun. I'm just curious if you could talk about the dynamic of your counterpart in tomorrow's matchup.
Oh, Seton Hall, John?
Yes, yeah, just and Willard and there's it's been back and forth.
Yeah, well, his comments about UConn, John.
Whichever direction.
Listen, I got a lot of respect for Kevin. I love the way his teams play. Seton Hall's got, there's 5 teams in the country that I root for. Obviously my Huskies, men's and women's, Wagner, Arizona State, Rhode Island. you know, my man Nate Oates, Alabama, right, pulling for those guys. It's Seton Hall, you know, because it's got a huge place in my heart. It means, you know, my whole life was built off of my time there, and then the man it made me into. Relative to like Kevin's comment, I mean, listen, Kevin feels the way he feels about UConn, and some other coaches feel that way. That's fine. For me, when I was in the Atlantic 10 and I was at Rhode Island, and Butler, when I took the job, and part of the reason why I took the job was because Butler, or it was because Xavier was in the league and Temple was in the league and Butler was coming in the league. And Shaka Smart was in the league, or I think Shaka was coming. So like that to me was incredible. Like, man, that was like, I get to coach at this level of competition, the more great programs. So I was heartbroken when Butler left and Temple left. And who else left? Xavier left. I'm a competitor. I want the best people in my league. So, I mean, that's not my mindset. That's, you know, I would be thrilled to have a program like a big name, big brand with big potential to come into my league to raise the level of competition. Because I think that's what probably most great competitors would want. I know that's what I wanted when I was in the Atlantic 10. Plus, you know, they aspire, you know, we've also brought with us in year 3, coming up in weight from the American to the Big East, right? Going from, you know, light heavyweight to heavyweight for us, big jump up. We've also brought in to this league quad 1 and quad 2s, you know, like we're a great opportunity for them to make their case for the tournament tomorrow. So, you know, so there's that, but I was, you know, I got a lot of respect for the success Kevin's had. You know, we would look at that differently.